Hey everybody, it's Chrissy. I am doing another channel overhaul because I am coming to you with major updates in my life, and my partner Remmi, they are currently busy doing things, and I wanted to kind of update you all about that sort of thing in my life, that I actually have a partner and stuff, and I'm very happy. The main update I wanted to give you was that I have moved from Missouri into Florida, and I never expected that to happen, quite frankly. I thought that would never happen in a million years. I thought I was going to get stuck in Missouri and, I would never leave. So some major things health-wise that I've come across is that looking into genetic testing and stuff like that, like real actual, and not just moving my ancestry DNA test into GenView, but that offered some insights, because I do realize now I have three different types of mutations, 4 technically, but 2 of them aren't. Okay. The main one I have seems to be the GP, anything to do with like glycophosphate or whatever. I have supposedly a type of glycogen storage disease. I also have that condition. They pretty much describe it. It's a type of enzyme deficiency where I can't eat fava beans or anything in that sort of family. That might be why I have issues with peanuts. Because I can't have pretty much a lot of legumes, but I'm obsessed with peas. So like sweet peas, I like them very salty, and also I like them out of the can. My favorite brand is Le Sueur. So there's that. And also the main thing is that the type I have, whether that's Cori disease or, because for a little bit there I thought I had von Gierk's, but I don't specifically have the actual genes showed up yet, because I don't know if it's on my other X chromosome, but I don't know. I'll have to get an actual genetic test to be sure. But I think I have either Cori disease, which I had a carrier test to rule out that I had any type of GSD. And I also had a genetic obesity type test a while back, and that ruled out a ton of stuff, but I don't know what it all tested for. I do know I do not have Prader-Willi. I do not have some of the main common types of genetic obesity. I do have the gene for early onset autism spectrum disorder, and I'm coming to terms with the fact that I have ADHD. I am diagnosed with ADHD now. I'm no longer bipolar with psychotic features, but there for a while we were having some issues. That's all good and good. I have a couple appointments today to kind of change the course of my life. I'm relocating to Florida officially, and I got to do a phone call with Florida Department of Family and Children or something, and pretty much get my Medicaid started, get all that started, here, and officially transfer. So yeah, big life updates. And beyond that, I have the world's greatest partner on the planet. They have been nothing but patient and everything, even though we do get explosive and have a lot of meltdowns in the Publix parking lot or the Walmart's parking lot. Even though that started in Missouri, we have tended to have brought it here, unfortunately. And then once Remmi figures out that we're gonna go into meltdown territory, and I kind of make the sad pouty face, she's just like, "No, we're not doing this," and then starts laughing, and then says, "No, you're beautiful and I love you." And I'm just like, "Okay, thank you." Not that I do that just to get that. I'm seriously having a major meltdown because I never understood that those temper tantrums that I was always told about that I had and some other people in my family had weren't actually technically temper tantrums. They were autistic meltdowns. And the more and more I learned that, the more and more I came to terms with the fact that I actually do have autism. In some ways, I'm higher support needs, but I think the reason why I was so high support needs at the time was because of a very serious viral infection I had that I did not know about and didn't understand much about, but I have since got that treated. And, well, rather recently, within the last few days, and I'm starting to officially come back into myself, realize a lot of things, and learn, how to basically accommodate and regulate myself again, actually for the first time, because I never honestly had that. Knowing now that I am completely ADHD and, little higher support needs than most people, I'm starting to realize, things are not as they seem and never have been. And I don't know. Well, here's the thing. There is little pockets of places in Missouri that have, some of the more mainstream knowledge on these conditions. But where I live, there's not a lot of knowledge on it. And you go to an emergency room or a doctor and they'd be like, I have no idea what this is. And then they tell you were fine based on your vitals and send you home. Fortunately, I was able to get last time I was in Missouri and I was in the emergency room, they gave me a referral to an endo, but I'm not going to see them because I tried calling them to get an earlier appointment and other things like that. And then I actually missed the window because they had called me and I wasn't feeling well, so I hadn't answered in a while, and so it hadn't been that long. I think I answered within like a few hours, and they were like, no, somebody already took it. And I'm like, okay. So there's that, because at the time I thought I had congenital adrenal hyperplasia, other things like that. I mean, sometimes I do seem like I have CAH because of the way my cortisol looks and my sodium, but like other than that, and also my hyperandrogenism. But I was told to look more into my glucose levels, because with the fact that they tend to range between about 75 and 99 most of the time, and can dip very low if I haven't eaten or haven't, sustainably kept my eating up. I have learned basically that I, have issues with glucose, and Mom always told me that I had basically reactive hypoglycemia, because she would see me get lethargic, feed me, and then after a while I would go into a trance. It's instant. Well, sort of. Like, I'll eat a few bites and just sit there and hold on to my food. If I'm eating a sandwich or something, just sit there and like that. And mom was very perceptive and very smart. She knew that I needed food, and if I had that trance, she knew that I needed to continue to eat. So but life has a funny way of taking twists and turns, and teaching you things. And I don't blame her for any of the issues that happen later with me. I don't blame her for anything. I am fortunate that she does have that knowledge and that insight to know that I do have hypoglycemic attacks and other things like that. And having had my weight loss surgeries, it's a big deal, because I have to literally keep up with it. I have to literally keep up with my eating as a whole and try to control my sugars as best I can. And also, I'm trying to figure out how to get a glucometer. I did get a prescription, or like a order for one, but I have trouble sending it to the pharmacy right now. So I have to figure out how to do that. But I had been thinking about getting a GCM or whatever for, more accurate readings, and to kind of see how it fluctuates throughout the day. I'm learning more and more that, some of the things that happened in my childhood, while they were the best at the time, maybe, because we didn't have a whole lot, I kind of went through a series of serious traumatic events and things like that, and had a lot of trauma, because unfortunately, we don't realize our parents are actually growing with us sometimes, and that's not healthy. I think it's usually it's not really I think that we kind of learned some things as the time went on, and I am very grateful I am here. I'm very grateful they brought me into this world and everything like that. I just, you know, if things were different, you know, it would have been a different scenario, different case. And for the most part, that's all that's been going on. I feel so much better. I've got to rule out, you know, some things with Missouri and everything else, and I'm just trying to figure out how best to do it. So I keep getting calls from Department of Family Services for everywhere, so I have to figure out how to really take care of this. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to make this a more continuous thing where I give you little updates, but also, since I'm revamping my channel, I think I'm gonna start making little, you know, cooking videos, you know, things like whenever Remmi and I go on trips and things like that, you know, just little things here and there. They have requested not to be on camera at this time, but, you know, they'll be in the background. They'll probably, you know, be near. You could probably hear their voice. I've just really fallen in love with cooking and seeing how you can put so many different types of flavors together, so many different types of things. You know, back at home, we only have our little limited selection on what you can get and buy because we're not exotic like Florida. So in that case, things currently are fine. I'm afraid that the voicemail I just got is interrogating me on something, so I'm going to have to regulate for a second before I can literally go into that. I'm probably going to mention it to Remmi that they called me, and I'm going to try to figure out if I can talk to them today, I guess, to make sure, you know, things are well and everything, because they did need an interview, and that's usually for the food stamps case, but, you know, maybe they'll talk me through it, and maybe they'll see what basically is appropriate, because I don't know how all this works, and I don't want to get into legal trouble, but I do have qualifying diagnoses. I am on all of that in Missouri, you know. I just hope this is smooth, and I hope they're not going to hurt me or anything like that. Yeah, beyond that, thank you for watching. What I want to do sometime soon is I want to make a video of me like cooking, but like if you've ever seen the creator Plan D, which Remmi, they watch them a lot. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something like that. I think that would be really cool. So I'm going to keep that in mind and probably work towards doing that later. Yeah, thanks for tuning in and everything. Thanks for being a part of this, and hopefully things take off this time. Hopefully things get better. I've just been sick for so long, and unfortunately I did get very heavy at one time, obviously, and now I am not, you know, at a good weight, basically. Well, I'm at an okay weight. It's just I got to about 250, and that's where I've been for a while. And, you know, I don't feel as bad now that I've got my viral infection treated, but also I don't feel literally like there's so much metabolic load on my body or like internal stress on my body that I feel like I'm gonna crap out right now. So like that has been taken care of, and I think shortly, you know, things will start to improve. Yeah, so I'm vivaciously excited for this new chapter in my life, and I'm hopeful. There has been some bumps in the road and some ups and downs, but you live and you learn and you move on. So things that seem, you know, inevitably like it's going to end, because I do have that habit of being a warrior. I have the warrior strategy type gene, and I'm always afraid of things ending, things going away because of so much abandonment that I feel like I had in my life, and I just get, you know, freaked out. My fight or flight goes up, and for a while there I had no idea what was going on, because I think cognitively I wasn't fully alive anymore. Like I was in decline. I was in such a bad place that I didn't realize what I was doing and what was going on, because now there's much more clarity. And sorry, I got a booger. There's a much more clarity going on. So sorry. Much more clarity going on, and you know, things should be brighter, things should be better, things should be clear. The sun's out, so things, you know, things are looking up. I just hope I didn't jinx myself. Thank you for watching. I'm not gonna pull a Stephen George and just say let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? Or let's meet back sometime, shall we? But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna say I'll see you later. Good vibes, happy times, and yeah. Okay. Bye.